Hello, this is Alejandro Bratti and William Isley from Unlock Clarity, and welcome to Spanglish World Network on Single TV channel 250. Please remember to download both the Single TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to leave a rate and a comment. The app is free. Single TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. William, I am really excited for today. We are going to be talking about purpose and how that is helping us to do everything that we are doing and be happy even with what we are doing. That's maybe the most important thing about purpose. So, how are you?
I am wonderful. If it gets any better, I'll have to be triplets to enjoy it.
That's really good to hear. So in regards of purpose, let's go like inside of your story first. I know that you started with something as a child and let us understand a little bit more about purpose.
So it comes down to some people don't know what their purpose is. And I've discovered that purpose is wrapped up in passion. We've already discussed passion, I think. And I was passionate about several things as a child. And spirituality, energy, that kind of stuff was one of them. And had a couple of experiences and tried to talk to my parents about it, or at least my mom, and that didn't go over well. And so I discovered going through school and certain other aspects of life, just being a Super Bowl on steroids. That's a thing over here anyway. Super Bowls were a big thing when I was a child. You throw it on the floor and it bounces off the ceiling and the wall and 5 other things before it stops bouncing. And then you just add to that, and I never stopped moving. And so there were times when Mom just yelled because I got on her nerves. I mean, that's what children do, right?
Yeah.
So I had to turn off some of my passions. I mean, cold turkey. Some of them didn't go away. And so, but it turned into kind of a traumatic experience. You know, they did the best they could with what they had. And so in this area of the country, they didn't have a lot to work with. I mean, they were the products of their upbringing. And so I get all that. And it just, like we've both come across, it's like, if we want to know what our purpose is, then what were we passionate about as children? And I'm discovering that there are some folks who don't have clear memories of their childhood until they're like 12. And which is phenomenal to me. My first memory is either 9 months or a year and a half old when I was in the hospital with pneumonia. And so it's kind of strange to me that people just don't remember large portions of their childhood. I'm not saying I'm any better. I just have earlier memories. So it's circling back to a passion for spirituality and energy work. I'm for. Certain things happened to me and I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. So I just kind of had to live with it. And then my parents were religious. I mean, that's kind of normal back then in the early 70s. And so it's not really a place to talk about spirituality as a high vibrational energy structure. So, yeah.
And okay, I love the story that you're bringing because it can help a lot. Sometimes I find that it's very difficult for people to understand, okay, what is purpose? And even for myself at the beginning, it was like, okay, what is my purpose? Why I'm here on earth? It's like, that is really difficult. And I even remember Rick Warren writing this book about finding your purpose, and it was a bestseller because everybody's looking for that. It's like how I can find my purpose. So something that you are talking here is one of the ideas to start to look at that is very important is what did you love to do when you were a child? Eh, and even if people around you didn't understand you and started to eliminate that passion of you because they didn't understand that, that doesn't mean that it's not exactly what is your purpose. So that's a good first step to start to find and look. One of the things that I always do when I am coaching a person is start with clarity. Are you clear of what you like and what are your good things? What is your best version of what is your best version when you want to speak with others, when you interact with others? What is your success? What is success for you? So why I'm talking about that because we are have this program talking about unlock clarity. Start with clarity. If you have clarity, and maybe you don't have clarity of your purpose, but you can start to have clarity of what makes you better, what makes you be your best version, what makes you enjoy what you are doing, so you can start to realize other little steps like how you can start to improve. And and it's like, okay, you are your own version, and maybe if other people doesn't understand, that doesn't mean that that is not your purpose. It's just that they don't understand it. you know
So one of the things, just so it's not all bad, one of the nice things that was not that I didn't have to give up was my creativity, my
Mm,
passion for building, my passion for creating things. That was encouraged
mm,
because my dad and also my grandma on my mom's side, they could my grandmother, she could look at a piece of clothing and make it
mm,
herself. She was that talented. And my dad, he could look at a piece of farm equipment, and if it wasn't too totally complex, he could take his scrap pieces that were laying around and build a replica of it.
mm,
In fact, this is Monday, Saturday. My brother and I moved one of those pieces um, from up front of the old house to behind the old house. And so, yeah, it's not everything was shut down, fortunately. Um, and so, yeah, that's something that I still, one of my passions is metalworking, and that's something I'm very good at. So it's like not all of childhood sucks. It's just some of the things that we're built for and that we're really passionate about. As you were saying, sometimes people don't quite know what to do with that.
yeah.
Um, and so drawing was one of my things. I don't get to do that as much anymore, but that wasn't squashed. So it it's one of those, looking at what you were passionate about when you were a child might not completely lead to what your purpose is, and yet what gives you joy. um, that old phrase, do what you love and the money will come later. Yeah, that's a great start. There's a few missing pieces, I mean, because what we're passionate about, some people might have told us we can't make money at, and those messages are still hanging around. I mean, that's some of the stuff that you and I are working on now, is some of those outside messages that we think are in our head and they're not.
Mm,
um, there's ways to move those aside so that we can see clearly. um, Someone this morning talked about standing in front of what the phrase is over here, a funhouse mirror, the wavy mirrors that make you look tall, short, fat, look like a pretzel, those kinds of things. It's like those things are outside of us, and yet they affect our perception of ourselves. And so, start with passion. Start with what, because some of us have been through situations where we pretty much had to turn everything off that we were passionate about just to survive our current relationship. And so might be starting off numb to everything. And so that's why some people say, start with what you were passionate about as a child. Just get back to that childlike state.
Yeah.
And so for you, what are some of the missing pieces in the phrase "do what you love and the money will come later"? How did that not work for you until we started working together?
For me, that is really, really important, because I agree, and that's something that everybody's teaching. Like, okay, you have to do exactly what you love, and and money will come. But there is something that is important, and it's what is our self-image. What do we believe about us? And even, okay, I am passionate about coaching, but for having a business of coaching, you need to have an idea of how to sell, how to market yourself, how to be doing like being in front of people, selling your products or selling yourself as a product or as a service. So those type of things are things that are missing pieces for me. Like, it's like, okay, you have to understand that if you really want to have a business, you have to be doing all these other areas, not only doing what you love. It's doing all the stuff that creates a business that maybe you don't love, or you don't understand how to do it, or you love how to do it but for others, not for you. Uh,
Exactly.
so suddenly everything started to change, because for me it was like, okay, I have been doing that for years in different countries and a lot of things, but when I am starting to do it for myself, it's like, oh, but I'm not that good for that, or maybe who will like this that I am thinking. You have your head like overthinking a lot of bad ideas that you need to read out of them and start to see like, okay, I am capable, I am here, and I can do it, and there is a lot of people that is looking for this, that want this, and they need this. So that's why I understand exactly what you are saying. Do what you love and money will come later. But when you really understand that, uh, the whole business, love even the business, not only the skill that you have or the idea. It's like, okay, do it as a whole, and suddenly you can really enjoy the fruits of what you are loving.
Exactly. So what would what would it look like if someone actually does know their purpose and they just kind of added their passion into it? I think I'm walking through part of that now. Of I know part of what my purpose is, and I'm doing it now. I mean, this is what I chose not to commit suicide for when I was 13, is being here talking to you and the two or three other people I talked to this morning or earlier today. It's not morning now. Um, and so that's one of the things that was my purpose. And I'm learning how to distinguish between the voices in my head versus the voices outside of my head that are, let's just say, copies of my parents or a previous partner. And it's because that was a space that I was in. Was okay, I've done my work, I've reconditioned the voices in my head, and I'm still hearing these things. That's interesting. So it didn't matter how much passion I added to my purpose, I always had somebody with a bucket of water hanging out, quote unquote, in my head to put out the fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, and it's one of those. Now that I've discovered this particular piece, and a lot of the voices are becoming silent in here, Um, I'm for my part, life is a lot different now that I've been able to add my passion into my purpose once I figured out what that was.
And
So
I love what you are saying, and I want to mix with something that you started to say at the beginning. Uh, I I was in a seminar last week, really talking about this with Eckhart Tolle, and I love something that he was saying, that we are, at least we live in two dimensions. If not everyone, but those are two dimensions that we can live. One is the horizontal, as he says, that is, it has past, it has future, it has time, it has space and other stuff. Uh, but there is a vertical one that is the present, the real present, and that's something that we are not used to be. Like, we are used to be thinking about what happened yesterday and what happened 10 years ago, and that's why I'm not good at doing whatever we want to do, because yesterday I was wrong and I made a mistake or whatever. Or I am anxious about what is going to happen in the future if I start to do this and everybody dislikes me or anything like that. So we are like trying to think about the past or the future to define what we can do today, and that's not the right way to do it. And when we are talking about purpose and spirituality, that's something that you were saying, is when you start to learn how to live in the present and how to learn how to live like right now. This is exactly what I want to do, and I can start to enjoy everything that is happening today. Uh, doesn't matter what happened yesterday, doesn't matter what is going to come tomorrow. But if I can learn how to enjoy today, enjoy the process, enjoy everything that is happening today, I can connect with myself and with universe, with God, with creator, however you want to tell him. But you connect with that in the present, and suddenly you can start to find your purpose.
it's it's a lot like, uh, let's just say, a deer in the woods. Something spooks the deer. The deer runs for a little bit, and they're all hyped up and they're anxious about everything. And then a few minutes later, everything calms down. They come back to the present, and they either start grazing or doing whatever they were doing, and that thing doesn't exist anymore. They're in the present. No stress, no cortisol, no of what is it, the reticular activating system, I think it is, that brings up the past and the future and what ifs this and what if that. And yeah, it's learning to live in the present for me has been learning not to label, not to judge, to stay as neutral as I can and just watch what is going on. How about
And
you?
this what you are saying is, again, it's important, and I want to emphasize that is like being present is, you can be like even looking at yourself, how you react to things without emotion, like don't thinking like, oh, this, or judging that person why you are doing this again and again and again and you fall in the same thing. But start to realize, okay, why Alejandro is doing that, or why he's very angry when his child is doing this. And I'm talking of myself, looking at myself doing that. But the good thing about doing that I am saying now, is that you can start to see how you are reacting, and start to see like, okay, this is not that bad to really be reacting like that, you know.
And
uh,
I can choose my own adventure. That was a series of books when I was growing up.
yeah, for example.
And so, yeah, it's like if I watch what's going on, there's action in between the thing that happened and the reaction. There's a split second in there that we get to choose our actions if we can catch that spot. And once we kind of step outside and we watch ourselves, like you were saying, that becomes easier.
So at the end, the reason of talking about purpose when we are unlocking clarity is really to that is going to help you to really like even overcome issues that you have, overcome your past, overcome your future, overcome everything that is coming. Why? Because you have a purpose. You feel that you have something. And you were talking about that at the beginning, like well in the middle maybe you were talking about like when you were 13 you didn't see any purpose, any reason to be here on earth, and suddenly you were like okay I can even uh, kill myself or and that is happening a lot to the people right now. It's like people is thinking like there is nothing else why
Yeah.
I have to stay here on earth.
Yeah.
and
It's,
and
it's
we
easy.
really believe that's something that I know that you and me we believe that everybody has a purpose.
Yes. So yeah, it's
And we
so
have our kids saying hi.
exactly. Well, children being children. I mean, this is an awesome thing. So yeah. Uh, Once
So
again,
it's at the end. We are at the end of the program. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out. We are really here to help you. So thank you, William, for your wisdom and knowledge here today, and
and
everybody
thank you.
that were listening to us. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out the SpanglishWorld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it. Thank you all. Bye bye.
Bye.